podcast with me, Anne. I'm very excited for my recording today as the husband, dog, and I are in Durango, Colorado, having a little mini vacation as we can in these times. So I thought it'd be awesome to be able to record this video outside in the beautiful Airbnb yard where we are staying. Today we're going to be doing what I call a mini session of sun salutes, Surya Namaskar, as Tuesday, September 22nd, is the first day of autumn or fall. And I like to teach sun salutes as we transition into the new season, most especially from summer to fall, as it's the biggest transition. And this year, we don't know what that's going to look like, how that's going to feel, very different than typical transition that's already a lot of unknown. So we practice sun salutes for a variety of reasons, but it helps to increase the circulation of blood through our organs and muscles, and helps to warm up the body through a chilly autumn. So this can be a great practice to do to warm up, to bring calm, quiet, to make yourself energized. You can kind of decide how your sun salutes go. I tend to do mine hatha style. They're a little slower. You may be more familiar with vinyasa style. And I freestyle my sun salutes, but you can find all kinds of variations online. There are typical, or they're very, I can't think of the word right now, but there's Surya Namaskar A and Surya Namaskar B. So it follows a very typical sequence. The poses are the same. So you'll see a variety of poses here that you would find in more of the structured sun salutes. So today, a blanket or a towel, and if you have blocks, and if not, we can work around those. I'm going to move back. We'll get started. We're going to start in constructive rest, lying on your back with your knees bent and the soles of your feet on your mat. So allow yourself to get comfortable, make any shifts, your hips, your shoulders, your arms can be wherever would be comfortable. I typically like my hands on my belly so I can connect with my breath. You can close your eyes or soften your gaze. Just allow yourself to be here in this moment. Be okay in this moment. The next time you inhale, deepen your breath. And as you exhale, let it go. Release. Start to make those little movements in your body with your fingers, toes. You can stretch. You can hug your knees into your chest. You can rock your head side to side. Any variation, or maybe you want to stay still a little while longer. When you're ready, bring your feet back to your mat. Step your feet as wide as your mat, and let's move to our breath. So when you exhale, move your knees over to one side. When you inhale, bring your knees back up. And when you exhale, go to the other side. Connecting with your breath. I realize many of my students, where you are right now, perhaps it's difficult to breathe, so you just do your best. Be grateful to be okay in this moment. If taking deep inhales is not okay for you, then you do what is best for you. Finishing up here, your last round. Coming back to constructive rest just for a moment, taking that pause. And then roll over to one side to bring yourself up to seated. I'm going to move my blanket off of my mat. And we'll come up to standing in Tadasana, mountain pose. So starting with the connection with your feet. I'm out here amongst beautiful trees, so thinking about your feet as trees. Many of you will be inside practicing, so you can imagine this. Imagine those beautiful trees where you live. Even if you can't be with them, be outside right now, you can still be grateful for the idea of them and that you'll be with them again soon. So connecting with your feet, feeling the lift from your inner ankles, up your inner seams, up into your groins, and that connects with your pelvis, your belly, thinking about your shoulders, so we don't want to be slumped forward. So moving your upper shoulder blades back, upper arm bones back, arms down by your sides. And then let's move with our breath. So as you inhale, reach through your fingertips, reaching up. As you exhale, reach back down. Again, inhale up, going to your own breath. Exhale down. Last round. Inhale up. Exhale down. Awesome. If you're not at the top of the mat, come to the top of your mat. If you have blocks, you can have them ready. We're going to do 2 rounds of sun salutes. In typical tradition, you do 108 rounds. So see how slow we go and think about the 108. That's just tradition. We do what's best for us here. Coming to the top of your mat, in your Tadasana, once again, feeling that connection, the roots of your body, opening your heart. Crown of your head reaches up toward the sky or the ceiling. And then you're going to reach again. Inhale up. As you exhale, swan dive, bringing your hands to your hips, hinging forward into a forward fold. This is where the blocks can come in handy at any height. If they're too far away or you don't have any, you can always bring your hands anywhere on your body. You want your spine to be long. So if you're really rounding to come down here, adjust, keeping your body safe, having that reach through your inner heels, length through your spine. And then the next time you inhale, come into a half fold where you bring your hands to your blocks, to your shins, to your thighs, to your hips, bringing your body into the shape of an L. The next time you exhale, come back down. From here, we're going to transition into downward facing dog. So for me, I can just step back into my dog. For some people, it's better to come down into a tabletop and then step your hands, one hand print forward, curl your toes under, lift up, bringing your body into a nice long inverted V. You can always adjust, spreading your fingers, reaching from your armpits through your fingertips, and then thinking about that reach from your inner seam, and then the outer seam reach up. So you're really long, lifting your sit bones up, moving your thighs away. And you're going to bring your knees down to your mat. If you need padding, you can use your blanket and step 1 foot forward. Remember which foot it is. This is where we can use blocks. If you don't have blocks or they're too far away, bring your hands to your thigh. Back foot can be curled, the toes can be curled under the top of the foot on the mat. We want to be long here. So if you're really hover down here, think about coming higher so you can really lengthen and open. Helps with breathing as well. If we're more concave, it makes it more difficult to breathe. Now let's bring our arms out to shoulder height. Your palms are going to face forward. I'm going to turn away from you to come into a twist. So turn toward your bent knee. You won't go very far. Think about the turn from your belly button. Opening your heart. Come back forward. Come back to your lunge. Come back to your downward facing dog. Setting up the best way for you. You're welcome to pedal, bending one knee as you press the other heel down to the mat. You come onto tiptoes, that can help you really lift. You can do that, bend your knees, keep that lift as you start to move your thigh bones back. You can stay here or come forward into a plank, and you can do a variation. You can come onto your knees. You can come onto your forearms. Both. To make sure that your bones are stacked. So if you're in full plank, your shoulders are right above your wrists. I'm lifting my belly up, so I'm not coming down. Really strong here. Nice long line. And bring your knees down to your mat. Come all the way down to your belly. You can stack your palms to rest. Chin, forehead, cheek. You're welcome to stay here or bring your hands under your shoulders, elbows close to your sides. My toes are not curled under. Pressing the tops of my feet into the mat, my knees into my mat, lifting my belly up toward my spine. Your forehead or chin is on the mat. The next time you inhale, peel your chest up. You could come up just an inch. You could come a little higher. Make sure your shoulders don't come up to your ears. Next time you exhale, come down. Come back to your tabletop. You're going to decide from here how to come into that standing forward fold. You could come from a downward facing dog. You could step one foot forward and then the other foot forward, using your blocks if you need them, using your body. And then the next time you inhale, bring your hands to your hips. Let's inhale halfway to come up long. Fully exhale. The next inhale, you'll start to come up, reach your arms up. On your exhale, bring your hands together, down and apart. Stay there and just come back into your Tadasana. So that was one round of our sun salute. We're gonna do the other round, the other leg forward. You're not at the top of your mat, come back to the top of your mat. Reach through our fingertips, inhale up. Exhale, swan dive forward, hands at your hips, hinging at your hip creases to bring yourself down, utilizing your blocks of your body. Next inhale, half fold, Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, come back to your full forward fold, Uttanasana. Stepping back into downward facing dog, whether you step back, whether you come back to a tabletop and set yourself up. Best way for you, and if you should skip dog, you need to skip dog, you should skip dog, you do that. Feel the lift of your sit bones, the press of your heels down toward the mat. They do not have to touch. Your thighs moving back. Bring your knees down, step your other foot forward. Checking in that you're really placing your foot on the mat. Your knee is right above your heel. Use your blocks or your thigh. Your heart is open, your shoulder blades are wide. You're reaching through the crown of your head. Beautiful. And we're going to come up, reach your arms shoulder height, palms face forward. We're going to come into that twist toward your front knee, so in the direction of the front knee, twisting starting from your belly button. So the belly, low belly, upper belly, chest, and then shoulders. And it's a little harder to move because of the place of our arms. You can always adjust if this is too much. Any variation that works for you. And then we'll come back to center. We'll come back to that lunge just briefly. Come into your tabletop. I'm going to come into downward facing dog again if that's okay. You could always stay in tabletop or come into child's pose. So the reach, the lift, the opening of your arms. Your head is relaxed but not dropped. So your ears are between your upper arms. We're going to come forward into one more plank if that's okay for you, making sure your shoulders are above your wrists or elbows. You can bring your knees down. Make sure there's no sway back, so really lifting. I'd prefer your hips to be a little too high than too low. Neck is long. Bring your knees down. Come all the way down to your belly. Resting again for a moment. You can stay here. You'd like to set up for one more Cobra Bhujangasana. Bring your hands under your shoulders, elbows close to your sides. Make sure your elbows are up off the mat. Press the tops of your feet, your knees. Lift your belly to your spine. Bring your shoulders about an inch to your ears and then up toward the sky or ceiling. Next, inhale, peel up. You could come up just an inch, a few inches. You could come a little higher. Nothing changes except that your arms start to go towards straight. So make sure shoulders don't come up to the ears, your elbows don't come out to the sides. Pressing your pelvis into the mat. So you don't want to hurt your low back. If this is too high, then come down lower. Next exhale, come on down. Resting in what's called crocodile. You can rest your chin, cheek, forehead, stack your palms, or just rest right on the mat. You can wiggle out your hips. You can bend your knees and do some windshield wipering. Let's press back into tabletop and then come into a child's pose. You can decide how wide your knees are. Your big toes touch or come close together. Sit back on your heels. Then you drape your torso over your thighs, resting your forehead on the mat. You can stack your palms. You can stack fists. If you have blocks or a blanket, you want your forehead to connect with something. You don't want it just hanging. And if this is just too much, you could just come on your forearms and be lengthening through all four sides of your neck. So think about the crown of the head reaching toward the top of the ceiling, but it's still fairly relaxed. All right, we've got to make our way back into that standing forward fold. How do you want to get into it? Do you want to come from a tabletop and step up? Do you want to come into one last downward facing dog? You can walk your feet forward, your hands back, or a combination of the two. I usually do a little bit of both. If your blocks are nearby, use them. If they're not, you can always use your body. Let's come up slowly. So the next time you inhale, bring your hands to your hips and lengthen to come into that half fold. Fully exhale. Next inhale, lift up, arms up. Exhale, hands together, down in front of your heart. And just take a moment here to keep your hands at your heart or bring your arms back down by your sides. Feel the connection of your feet, the warmness in your body, the connection with the earth. We're going to do our balance work. After I take a sip of water, make sure you drink plenty of water. So coming back to that connection with your feet. I like to have my hands at my hips. You can have them anywhere you'd like. Bring a little more weight over to your right foot and leg as you bend your left knee. And then turn your toes out. You can bring your foot to the mat and your heel to the shin. Your whole foot on the shin, never on the knee, or you can bring your foot to your thigh. I don't care where your foot is. You don't get extra credit for it being higher up. Your hips should be square forward, your chest forward. If you're wobbling a lot, maybe make an adjustment. This is still quite demanding on the body. It's still challenging. And your arms can be wherever you want. Hands at your hips, out to the side, cactus at your heart. Traditional tree reaching up toward the sky. Can even be wider. I have a shoulder issue, so sometimes being here is not great. Lock your gaze, keep your breath flowing. If your hands are not at your heart, bring them back to your heart. Release your foot and give it a shake. Coming back to that connection, the lift, the lengthen, thinking about your torso as the trunk. And then lean your way over to your left foot and leg as you bend your right knee and turn your toes out. Bring your foot anywhere on the inside of the leg but the knee. Check in that your hips are square forward, so that might mean that your knee comes more forward than out. If I really bring my knee out, my hips go wonky. I need to stay square. Helps to create that base, stacking of the bones, lifting, locking my gaze, and then bringing your arms into any variation of your tree that you'd like to today. Check in with your breath, make sure you're not holding it. Bring your hands together, down in front of your heart, release your foot, and give it a little shake. I like to do what I call Tadasana swing, so I swing my arms one direction, lift the opposite heel. You can decide how much your arms go. Some people like to do some tapping. Tapping can be a nice sensation. All right, we're going to come back down to the mat. So if you have a block, make sure that's nearby. If you don't, a blanket or towel will do. I'll show a setup for both. Let's first just come back to constructive rest. So I like to have support under my head. It's at the base of my skull. I come to lie down, my knees bent, my feet on my mat. Taking a moment here. Then we'll come back to that windshield wipering. So step your feet wide. We'll do 3 rounds. Moving to your breath. You exhale, you move to one side. You inhale, you come up. You exhale to the other side. Going to your own breath. Three rounds total. After the third round, come back to constructive rest. I'm going to move the blanket out of the way. And I'm going to show you setup with the block. And then with the blanket, we're going to come into supported bridge. It's about the same. You come to constructive rest with your knees bent, feet on your mat, connecting with your feet, press in to lift up, and slide your block so that it's under your sacrum, your pelvis, your hips. It's not under your low back. See how that kind of sways it? So check in there. Might have to adjust, moving the block up or down a little. I'm going to press my feet in to lift up, to move the block. Do it with my blanket. So nothing under your head here. You want to keep your neck, the natural curve of your neck. Press your feet in again, lift up. I'm going to slide my blanket. This time the blanket can go under the low back, the hips, the sacrum. It's a little wider. It's okay to be under the low back here. You decide which form you want to do. If this is too much, you can just come to constructive rest. But this is a restorative pose. This is a heart opener, a baby back bend, opening the hips, supporting you. You don't have to do any work. You have the option to step your feet wide and have your knees come in toward each other, or keep them standing tall, feet hip distance apart. If you've moved your feet, bring them back to hip distance. Press your feet into the mat to lift up. Sliding your support out of the way, bringing your hips back down. Taking a pause here. And we're going to set up for Shavasana, our final relaxation pose. I'm going to use this blanket under my head. If you have a second blanket or happen to have a bolster, the blanket you could roll up and use under your knees. Bolster, use under your knees. Today, I am going to do a constructive rest Shavasana because when I teach these YouTube videos, we do short Shavasana. So if you'd like to do a longer Shavasana, you're welcome to pause, set your timer, do 5, 10, 15 minutes. The longer, the better. But it depends on how much time you have, what's going on. I get all of that. So a little bit of Shavasana is better than no Shavasana. So I'm going to come back to constructive rest. You're welcome to set up the best way for you. So I'm supporting my head. I'm adjusting my hips, my shoulders, my arms. I am going to widen my feet and have my knees come in toward each other to support each other. You could have your legs out long. You come back to the idea of connecting with your breath. Being grateful for your breath. Even if you are in a place that it's difficult to breathe, just be grateful, be okay in this moment. Thank you to my teacher, Vicki, for reminding me that, who lives in Oakland. So she's been dealing with the serious issues of bad air quality and fires. Being okay in this moment. Every moment. Just check in. I'm okay in this moment, and this moment, and this moment. Next inhale, deepen your breath. On your exhale, let out a sigh. Small movements starting with outer extremities, your fingers, your toes. You can start to move your head side to side. Stretch your legs out long, full body stretch. Hug your knees in, rock, stay still a little while longer, you decide. When you're ready, roll over to one side, pause there before pressing back up. When you're ready, press back up, bringing your head up left, coming back into a seat. So make sure you're sitting well, sitting on your block, your towel, your blanket. You can sit any way you'd like. You do not have to sit cross-legged. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. With the length of your spine, the opening of your heart, crown of your head reaching high. Being grateful once again in this moment. We'll bring our hands together at heart center in Anjali Mudra. Keep peace in your mind, keep strength in your body, and keep love in your heart. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Happy autumnal equinox. You're welcome to practice this anytime. I just love to do sun salutes to celebrate the transition of the seasons. So you'll find this again in December when we transition from fall to winter. I'm here for anything you need, questions, comments. If you need me for something else, feel free to email me at therealgofitgirl@gmail.com. You can comment below. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter as GoFitGirl and Instagram as The Real GoFitGirl. I want to be here for you the best way that I can. I also teach weekly Zoom classes. I'm starting a new series. I do them on Wednesdays at noon Pacific time and Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. also Pacific time. So if you'd like to do weekly yoga with me, you're welcome to email me for details. I'm starting a new series September 30th and October 1st that will run through the end of the year. I'm doing special holiday classes, all kinds of stuff coming up. You can also email me if you want to get on my newsletter list to know all of these things as well. I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope to practice with you